Well, I had my first mini flipper of the year due to heat and my phone. I literally had my opening done. All but a minute left in it. It was 31 minutes long, and my phone crashed. I was like, that sucked. My phone crashed, so I turned my phone back on. I put it on the air conditioner. Come back out. The whole video was gone. The whole video. I literally wanted to take a hammer to my phone. I didn't. I had a little flipper. There might have been some cursing, some threats made to the safety of my phone, but nothing. No, it didn't follow through. Didn't at all. So I'm going to redo my opening, I guess. I had a wonderful start to the day. You know, Addie was at dance. Get up early, and you know, the sun shines right in the window, like it does in most homes. And a lot of the times in the summer, you're like, oh, we need drapes. But today, especially after such a miserable day yesterday, it was just so nice to have the sunshine in. And Addie jumped up. She'd climbed in bed with us. She jumped up, and she's bouncing around. And we're like, oh, we better get up. I look at my phone. It's 7:45 on a Sunday. I felt fine. We didn't do a whole lot yesterday. You know, went to the barn. It was pouring rain. The day was shot. We didn't jog or train anybody. I did get to go to the movies. Now, when I moved here to Guelph, geez, a long time ago, over 10 years ago for sure, maybe 12 years ago, I went to the movies all the time. Now, there's a movie theater 12 minutes north of here on Woodlawn Avenue, and I used to go there all the time. Saw all the movies before, you know, the stable was huge, before we had lots of work to do in the States. When there was nights I was just home, I would spend a lot of time at the movies. Went to the movies by myself a lot of the time. And, you know, through getting busy and then the pandemic, I didn't go to the movies that much. And I bet you since the pandemic, I've only been to maybe 10 movies. And about 5 or 6 years after I moved here, it was almost like somebody came to the door and said, okay, good afternoon, Anthony. You're at the southern end of Guelph. We're going to put a giant firehouse right there across the street. We're thinking of putting up some condos and apartment buildings just down the street. What would you like? Anything you'd like? Steakhouse? Okay, we'll put the keg right over there. No problem. We'll take care of that. Movie theater? Yeah, that's a good idea. We'll put that down there too. A couple of grocery stores. Some other restaurants in case you don't want steak. We have Shoeless Joe's. We'll put Kelsey's in over there. That's working out good. All right, we'll do that for you. And that's exactly what they did. They built everything up. When we moved here, none of this was here. This was all fields in front of us. Now there's a giant fire hall / reporting station. So it must be getting a little accident. I think you go there to get it assessed. So there must be a police presence there, I guess. But all this has been built up, and I go to the movies down there now. So yesterday, you know, it was so funny. I said this a few weeks ago to you guys. When my kids were born, so obviously Ava was the first, and I love to go to the movies all the time, so I'd take her with me. We saw everything. Her first movie was Planet of the Apes when she was 2, and I've seen everything with Ava. I remember probably some movies I shouldn't have seen with her. I remember I took her to Venom one time, and she couldn't have been 7, and I remember her coming home and Amy saying, "What did you see?" She goes, "We saw a movie, and at the end of the movie, this monster bit the guy's head off." She looked at me, she goes, "Excuse me?" "Yeah, a big monster, he bit his head right off." She's making that up. I didn't see that movie. But the thing about Ava was, she would sit down, even at 2 and 3 and 4. I don't ever remember going to the movies where she would jostle around, where she would get up and walk around and just be a kid. And I thought that's how kids were. Ollie, even till he was 6, would not sit still to watch a movie. He'd get up and he'd be talking and he'd be walking around, and he was present at the movie theater, but he wasn't in the movie, like watching the movie. Ava was attentive about the movie. And Addie, she's 4. Yesterday was the first time she didn't get up and try and walk around. She was bored. I heard her say to her mom halfway through the movie, she goes, "This is super boring." We went and saw Ant-Man and Quantumania or something. It was okay. It was exactly what you thought it would be. But it was nice to get out as a family. Sure, we go to eat dinner sometimes as a family supper, but We don't, aside from going to play places with the kids, we don't go. This summer we plan on, and we have in the past gone to baseball games and stuff with them. But this was the first time in a while we get out as a family and did something that wasn't horse related or food related. So it was nice to watch the movies. Now today I'm going to go see John Wick, likely by myself. There's an abundance of violence and killing in the movie, as many of you know. And I like John Wick. I know my wife. My generation is obviously The Matrix, right? A generational defining movie, I believe. There's going to be a lot of people disagree and say, no, it wasn't. It was, Titanic or something like that. But no, for me, it was The Matrix. I love the whole series. And Amy does not like Keanu Reeves as an actor. I do. So I'm going to go see John Wick. And if Ava wants to come, maybe I'll let her, but she probably won't. She's a little older now. She knows what she likes, and I doubt she'll come see it with me, but it'll be offered anyway. It'll be offered for old time's sake. So I plan on going to see John Wick today, and capping off what has been a good weekend. Obviously, it sucked that the races were canceled last night. Not a lot of people I see on Twitter and Facebook of people bitching and moaning. Oh, they try to race in a snowstorm, but they won't race because of a little wind. You have no idea what you're talking about. They can't race in the wind because the starting gate can't get out of the way. As soon as I heard the wind howling outside my room, somebody said, well, Anthony, if you're going to be home, why aren't you driving Haunted House and you driving more than you know? Well, there's capable drivers, one. Two, it's supposed to rain all day, and I'm not driving in the rain anymore in March, for sure. I drove in the pouring rain on Wednesday and the pouring rain on Thursday. No, not doing it. So, it stopped raining, but it was so windy, and the wind was just howling, enough to cancel Northfield also, and delay the Meadowlands. The rain delayed the Meadowlands. But they can't get the gate out of the way. I've been behind the gate. I've been in wind like this. And they have pins in the gate, as you can imagine. It has to fold. And I've seen a pin snap. So the gate won't fold, won't close. And, they have to pull out the outside of the track, get out of the way. And then they have to get another gate. And, this is just historically speaking, they knew that this was going to be too much for the starting gate. And they're probably right. Probably right. It had nothing to do with the drivers complaining or anybody complaining. It had to do with the literal ability to function for the machinery to function. The starting gate would not be able to do a whole card without braking. I probably agree. After being behind the gate enough times at Mohawk, I would agree that was a problem. So it was upsetting. We didn't get to. We started off the day so great. Odds on Delray was so good. Tyler Buter drove him good. Megan had the horse ready to go. The horse raced great overall. Was given an opportunity to. I know a couple of times he was caught first over. Didn't really look like his cup of tea, and Tyler just drove him perfect. Yesterday, the horse raced good, finishing second. I'm thinking, we're going to have a good day. And then we didn't. So I was eager to watch JK Victory. I wanted to see some more. I was happy last week with the way James talked about him. I felt he was concerned after his first start in his qualifier, and then Harry had continued to work on him. We made some equipment changes. I schooled him in 54. I thought the horse was great. And then last week, although his looking at the race, the line is one of those, the line looks good, but the horse didn't. But I still felt that there was some progression there. He did qualify in 52 at the Meadowlands and went back in 52 already at Ontario. We don't know his level of where he was ready to go. Just because he qualified doesn't mean he was ready to pace 150 right away. But I did feel that we had made some significant gains last week, and I know I especially after I talked to James, he said, no, he was actually good. He wasn't hitting his knee very much at all. He's a little bumpy, he said, but he was good. And that's how I felt he was in the schooler. So I was interested to see how he was. We really needed that race into Locatelli. It puts us into a tough spot now where he has to be trained again. Now, he was in 2-4 last week, so he was pretty well tight, ready to go on 2 weeks, but without any racing miles into him going into this race on 3 weeks, that's a problem. A little bit of a problem. So Locatelli, I don't know. It's not ideal, but we'll see how that plays out. I love the fact that he had the 9-hole, and that he would have raced good. Out of the 9-hole with the staggered starting gate, I think it would have been ideal for him. It would have been a good spot for him to get in. I think he could have really got out of there well. And he didn't have to out-sprint them coming off the car, but he had to be in a position to make his way to the front getting into the turn. And I think that would have been a perfect situation for James to be in. So, I guess with no wind, I'm eager to see how Locatelli's going to be, although the Mohawk's closed next week because they're changing the lights, so we won't have the ability to get him over to Mohawk and train him in the race bike. So First Line's a good track, a little deep, but a fast track. So I think it's deep. So if they can go another mile in 2:04 to 2 minutes with Locatelli at First Line, it would be the best of a bad situation, and not best of a shitty situation for excuse my French, for Locatelli. Gandalf, I thought, was in a great spot. Sneaky, I thought he was a sneaky best bet of the night, maybe, for the stable was Gandalf. I knew that James was comfortable with him. He thought he raced great last week. He thought his qualifiers were very good, or his schooler qualifier, whatever he had. And I think he was in a position he was going to cut him loose last night. I think he was going to go a big mile. So interested to see how that's going to play out with Gandalf the Black and Victory and Locatelli and Hunted House. Again, probably just train him up more than same type of thing. So those horses will likely train on Tuesday. My hope is that I can get James over to Ohio on Wednesday to train. And I never get to go anywhere with my brothers. Other than we went to Jamaica, obviously, our family, but we don't generally just go out for a beer or go to a restaurant or go anywhere. We don't get to go anywhere. So there's another reason I want to get James over to Ohio, and I was hoping that Curtis might come. But Curtis is a bit of a homebody. He's always busy. He has his own young family also. So that wasn't going to be an option. In fact, I knew Curtis coming to Ohio would be somewhere around the same odds as Mark driving down from New York. Very slim. But James and I getting over to Ohio is doable. The ball's in his court, and I can't blame him either way. I mean, he's the leading driver in Canada, coming to Northfield Park to train some babies, not on the top of his list of things to do. But as my brother, I would hope I can talk him into it, because he can't hide in Ontario forever. He's too talented, and I would hope that we have some horses that at least can show up on a major stage that he would be able to drive. So getting him over to Ohio to look at these babies, I think is important. As I said, Resolute Bay qualified well. If you rewind to the start of the week, I thought Unbeatable Kemp was really good. Little bumpy in the corners. As I said to Dominic, I don't think it's lameness. You need to strip away what you know about Unbeatable Kemp, and let's look at him as a trotter. Little bumpy in the corners. It doesn't appear that it's lameness, so he's probably interfering a little bit. Maybe a little longer shoe behind just to stop him up. We do that with a lot of horses. And then just add a set of toe weights for a couple of weeks. Yes, they might be a little more strained on his knees, but I think having a more fluid gait, a more consistent and a bit more consistent and comfortable gait for him would be more important. So, I talked to James about it and talked to Dominic, and I think probably what we'll do is add those toe weights to his front end, put a little longer shoe on him behind. I think you'll see him much different, much stronger, and likely a winning Unbeatable Kemp in his next start. White Tiger, I thought was good. I asked James after, how much room do you need to the inside? Are you looking for like a transfer truck or a tractor, or maybe one of the trucks that deliver money to the banks? How much room do you need? And he said, haha, funny. I just thought that Louis never really lets anyone up the inside, so I started out, and as I started to the outside of him, it was clear his horse was now drifting. Yes, the room was there. I couldn't find room. I had to come back, and he just got picked off for a second. I thought the horse raced very good, though. And I think the highlight of the week, looking at everybody, the way they raced, the way they were, the highlight for me of the week was Hornplayer. And the reason being, I got high expectations for Hornplayer. Not as high as I did 3 weeks ago. We did have her paid into the Breeders' Crown, and after her schooler and her qualifier, we kind of took her out. And there's still a long way from 57 to the Breeders' Crown, so it's not. I don't feel bad about that, but I certainly feel better about the filly. If she was on a spectrum, and the Breeders' Crown was to the far left, and the far right was there's our exit strategy, she's still worth a lot of money as a broodmare. Somewhere in the middle was her schooler and her qualifier. How does she rank now? Obviously, she jumped further to the left with that win in 57, coming off a 2-minute qualifier, and to go out and win in a way she doesn't usually do. If you remember, didn't really train down that much on the front end. Was more of a stalker. The only time she was ever on the front is the time she made a break coming out of the last turn on me when Una Madonna beat her. Didn't spend a whole lot of time in the front, and really I couldn't tell if she had that eye of the tiger or not. Her qualifier was very good. very, very good. And I was a little surprised to see Sylvain on the front. You know, I heard the commentators after saying, "Oh, there was so many breakers." They're really trying to. It felt to me they were trying to downplay. And I'm going to tell you something. Had they not broke, the only difference would be the order finished behind her. They'd have wheeled up. If James had come with that favorite and wheeled up onto her wheel, she would have left her right there. I'm certain of it. She's a very competitive filly, and she looked very willing to do her work the other night. For her to be on the front, open up 3 or 4 lengths, sure, she dropped into idle a little bit, but she had no one to race with. She's a big, strong green filly, not used to being on the front, Murphy blind on the outside of her, and no one coming to her, of course. She was a little sleepy. But had somebody been at her wheel, they would have stayed right there at her wheel. And I think Horn Players got... she went from, where are we going to race her? Is she going to stay mostly in Ontario and we'll pick our spots around here? Or, now can she race in the B division of the New Jersey Sires? Possibly. We'll see what next week holds for her. The thing I love the most about the whole thing was I got a message from Megan. I don't even think the filly was in the winner's circle yet. And Megan said, she could probably do in the Bobby Weiss. I love the hustle. I love the fact that our trainer, Stacy, will do the same thing too. She'll watch the horses race and say, hey, if you're finding a tough time for a class up there, we have a class down here. That's how World for Two ended up down there. It didn't work out this time with Sister Solange in New York or World for Two yet, but that isn't to say that it won't in the future. And I think they were the right moves. It just didn't work. The timing wasn't the greatest for either of them, right? World for Two's class went in 54, and then we put him in there and they went in 51, which he was not ready for. So now he's in a much cheaper class for this week. The purse isn't great, but you know what? It might give him the confidence to jump forward also. There is classes there for him, but 51 was a little much on a 5H for him his first start. So that was a mistake, but that happens. There's no way to know. As I said in my video last week, you can take all the information into account. The horse can be healthy, get a good drive, have a great week, but if the class is just tougher than it was the week before, there's no way for us to know that. But I love the hustle. I spent my whole life hustling. I tell my kids all the time, you just need to work harder than everyone else around you. Just be the hardest working person in the room. If you're in the right room and you work harder than everyone else, you'll be noticed. And it's the same in our industry, right? I try to work as hard as I can to show everybody this is what it takes to be successful in horse racing in 2023. You have to be transparent. You have to be open. You have to do videos like this. You have to talk to your clients and allow them into your barn and in some cases, quite frankly, into your life if they want to be. And this is although it takes up a big portion of my week, this is one of my favorite things to do at the stable is to do update videos for our clients and let them know exactly what I'm going through, exactly how I see things, and the hustle I have to put in to make sure that the stable is forwardly placed and always is important. It's the same hustle I put in getting clients before there was ever a stable and having horses to train when I was a driver, making sure that the trainers and the owners knew that I was available for every race that they needed a driver. That was my job, right? And it's the same for Stacy and Megan and and Jason and everyone else that works for us. Hey, a perfect example is Horn Player. Hey, that filly fits a Bobby Weiss. Hey, that's a good idea. It might be a good idea. But I wouldn't have thought of that or known that had she not opened her mouth and sent me a text. It's a great idea. And that's the hustle I love. That's the stuff that I love. I love that people take their job as serious as I do. And that's, I believe, there's lots of barns more successful than ours, but the success we have is part and parcel due to the fact that we want it as much as anybody. We work hard at doing what we do, and surrounding yourself with people that are eager and hungry also, like Megan, like Stacy, right? Like Tim and Jason and Mario and Harry and everyone else that plays such a Dominic that plays such a major role in us doing what we do. It's uplifting. It makes me happy to know that people want it as bad as I do. So I appreciate the hustle from Megan, and who knows, Horn Player may in fact make her way to New Jersey. Certainly she steps forward off that line. It wouldn't be unrealistic to say, yeah, she could do in the B division in New Jersey. I don't want to go to the A division. I know people saying, well, it's not that tough. Yes, it is. Yeah, it is. Yeah, they're going to go 52, 53. It's very tough, actually. So, it's more important, and we're in March, to not stretch our horses out too much. And that is a good segue into the rest of our 3-year-olds and how they're getting ready. We saw Horn Player race good, Gandalf the Black race good, even Cash Deals 2 weeks ago. She's racing tonight, so good luck to everybody with her. But again, putting them in where they can do is very, very, very important. Now, that leads to the rest of our video today, starting with the 3-year-olds, where they're at, where they're going to be. I did a 3-year-old video, but I thought it was important. I have 20 sophomores. Don't talk about the yearlings. My top 10 list today was extremely hard to do. But we're not going to talk about the 2-year-olds, but I am going to talk about the 3-year-olds and where they're at. Austral Hanover, I can't wait to get over and train him this week. Not just because I like training him, but because I want to see what James thinks of a lot of these horses. And I want to see with Austral Hanover, the last time I trained him hard, the next time I trained him, he wasn't quite as good. So that led me to believe that you need to back off for a week, let him catch up, and go again. And that's exactly what we did. I went a mile and 2:10 last half and won one in the jog cart at a 1.5 mile distance the other day with him. So I'm interested and very intrigued to see how he's going to train this week. Is he going to be strong, or is he going to have a little regression again where he steps back's a little sore? Maybe that's a little too much. Okay, we can back up again and we'll go at it again. And that's what we're going to do with Austral Hanover. So a big week for him, a lot of interest from me to see how he is going to train this week. Now, a little side note, we're planning on bringing you those 3-year-old trainers in between the 2-year-olds at the video session on Wednesday. So you get to see them. And I think one of the funnest things you're going to see is Patrick the Piranha gallop. We'll video him galloping also on Wednesday for you to see actually how much he likes it and how fast you actually go when you're galloping them. So Patrick the Piranha, you're going to see him run, and you're going to see the 3-year-olds train. Now, Brace for Landings, I said, we're going to do a little work on him this week. Going to do his hocks. Dr. Bozenjack is not back till Wednesday, so Dr. Grosenbacher is going to do it Tuesday. The reason I want it done Tuesday is so that there's a lot of time for him just to relax and then going into Friday's training. I plan on going around 2-2 or 2-3 with him on Friday at First Line, and then after that point he'll be going to the schoolers and then off to the races. So I think we'll probably school once, qualify once, assess both, and if he's ready to go, we'll have him in to go. So that was Brace for Landing. Crantini is going to train on Tuesday, 2-5. Really, really interested to see how he's going to train. I love the fact that people forget, for those of you out there that have ordinary jobs, you're like, all right, Friday at 5 o'clock, I punch the clock, no one bothers me till Monday at 9 a.m. That is a wonderful life. We don't have that here in horse racing. At 8:15, I got a message from Megan asking if we had any horses to send down there, trying to figure out where Crantini is. We just talk back and forth about Crantini and how he's been. And again, at 8:15 on a Sunday, 8:45, I got a message from Jacob Schaefer about the mares. Now, for those of you who aren't our partners on Path of Totality, there were some minor complications when she gave birth to her foal. Nothing in the actual birthing process, but the foal was a little bit weak. They thought he was a little bit sick the day after he was born, so we ended up taking him down to the clinic, and he had to stay at the clinic for a week, but which I'm sure won't be cheap. But at the same token, everything looks great now. The horse looks fine. He'll be heading back home. Isn't home yet, so it'll be a week on Tuesday. I suspect he'll be home by then. But Jacob called me and told me Globetrotting has been bred to Kings County. Iglarium has been bred to International Money because Iglarium is by Southwind Frank, who's in Muscle Hill. Kings County is by Muscle Hill. You see, they might be a little close. So Iglarium was bred to International Money. This week we want to get, hopefully, Compass Rose DC cycling in a way that we can breed her. And then, by the way, when are we going to breed Path of Totality also? So all this stuff going on the breeding side, but it was so good to get an update. And I don't expect it. I try to respect everybody's privacy. I don't take Sundays off. I'm doing my work on Sunday with you. I'm going to go over to the barn and check on the horses also on Sunday. So there's no 9 to 5, 5 days a week for us. This is 7 days a week, and in most cases 24 hours a day, and we happily sign up for it. So I was so happy to get the message from Megan and look at a game plan potentially with Horn Player, depending on how the next week, not this week, there's no races here this week, how next week goes. And then also getting an idea of what our plans are with Crantini in conjunction with what she was wondering, when's he going to be ready? Where are we going to race him? I said the first paid stake race we haven't paid into is the Bunker Hill in Plainridge. Is he going to go there? He doesn't have to, but it's an option. After that, the PA All-Stars is likely his first or second start of the year, aside from any overnights. Now, he only has 3 pari-mutuel wins, so we may be able to talk Mohawk into making non-winners a 3, also eligible 3-year-olds non-winners a 4. I don't want to race him in the straight non-winners a 4, but I wouldn't mind racing him in the non-winners a 3. Same goes for Brace for Landing, and he's only got 2 wins, so hopefully we could do something the same with him. And by money, he should fit in the non-winners a 2 anyway, Brace for Landing, actually. So, now we're starting to see how they're coming and where we'd like to race them. Now, it's funny because on the side of the barn with the babies, we have Brace for Landing and Crantini. I've been going with them full-time. Amy and I have been going with both those horses. Amy takes care of Crantini, Brace for Landing, Insider Trading, and Punch the Clock. Now, James, on the other side, is Carter, Michael Dio, and Spitfire. I haven't gone with either of them this year. James has gone last trip with them, or middle of the week trip with them, the last 2 weeks, I believe. I get the feeling that James believes Spitfire Overseas is the best horse we have. And he very well may be correct. He liked Crantini, or he liked Carter, Michael Dio the way he's trained, but he's not sat behind Crantini. I think that's a little sore spot, too. I've been keeping a close eye on Crantini this year. So we'll see how that plays out. And also, he hasn't gone with Brace, but I think he warned him up one day. He goes, I don't think in his mind he thinks Brace is as good as Spitfire, but I think he's going to be in for a little bit of a surprise when they get to the track. And that's not to say that Spitfire isn't a monster, but I think Brace for Landing is going to be a much handier horse than we remember him being. This horse is trained down with just with an open bridle and no head check. He's looked very, very good. And the other day, the mile in 2.5 on a very deep track, he was very, very strong. So I can't wait to see how Brace for Landing looks on Friday. This is a really, really exciting time of year for us because we don't know how the 3-year-olds are going to come back. Are they going to come back? Is Spitfire going to be that Breeders' Crown type horse? Is Crantini? Is Carter, Michael Dio? Where are they going to find themselves in the spectrum of racing? And you're always on pins and needles until you see them do it and succeed at it. But it certainly looks like Brace for Landing, Crantini, Carter, Michael Dio, and Spitfire Overseas are on their way forward in a big way. Then you have Austral and Tailgate Buzz, who were very successful last year, and I think will be this year, but we have to find the right setting for them also. I don't think that Austral Hanover or Tailgate Buzz should be racing against Spitfire Overseas, and yet Spitfire Overseas fits a class below them. So that's the problem we have with those horses. Cutie Cumber, again, will be in the race bike on Wednesday. James went with her a lot last year. I'm really interested, and again, I hope he comes over because I'm really interested what he thinks of Cutie Cumber. He hasn't seen her since last year, and I think she's improved vastly. Probably ready for a good mile in 2.5, 2.6 on Wednesday. And Gandalf, another horse, shows a lot of pop. We're going to have a lot of fun with this guy this year, racing in that grassroots division. I think he'll be really successful, or anywhere, really. I don't think he's a gold colt, but that's a tough division. The Gold Crew, that's a tough division, and I don't think he needs to prove himself as a gold horse. He just needs to be present on the racetrack. He has been already. I think he would have been last night had the races not been canceled. We talked about Horn Player and how good she looked in her sophomore debut. Landing Strip, haven't gone with him yet. He's not going the race bike this week, next week, but Jason has said he's been very, very impressed with Landing Strip, Smoking Hot Irish Girl, and Tactical Mounds. Tailgate Buzz, I actually did go them once a month ago, and he's ready to go also, but really interested to see those 3 that I haven't gone with yet. So Landing Strip, Leaps and Bounds, I trained her in 2-1 by herself the other day. She was very good. Qualifying her on Thursday. Didn't want to qualify her in the mud the other day, so we trained her on Wednesday. She'll come back Thursday. I'm expecting good things from her. And probably one of the most anticipated horses. You know, we hope that Brace, Crantini, Carter, Michael Dio, and Spitfire are really good. One of the horses we never talk about enough that I think is one of the most anticipated horses this year and could be one of our best horses we have overall, Nothing But a Dreamer. The horse has looked very, very, very good training, and he is. I'm really excited to see him start racing. Smoking Hot Irish Girl, as I said, one of those 3 horses Jason's been training and telling me he's training great. No hobbles, just a set of trotting boots behind. That's it. And he said she's been very good. So eager to see her. Swinging Senorita's been in 59 already. We weren't going in the mud with her the other day. We'll come back and qualify her next Thursday. I'll probably go in 2 minutes with her, and then the next time out we'll go mile 57, maybe even 56, and prep her for the Hackett in Miami Valley. Tactical Mounds, as I said, can't wait. This filly, the sky's the limit for her. I was so impressed with her last year. You know, her mile and 55 was really good, where she just got picked off at the Meadowlands. I can't wait to see her race this year. She's been training down with no hobbles and looks great. Tailgate Buzz looks good. Again, as I said, training down. Him and Austral will just be finding a clash for them before their stake start will be our only chore there. And then we look at the other division. Who would have thought Columbus? I thought he was going to be sold after his qualifier. The horse goes out and comes first over. Never in my wildest dreams did I think, if you'd have said to me, hey, you know what Columbus is going to do? He's just going to get away in the mid-pack, just coast up first over and just pound them down the lane in 58 in the mud. Pardon me? Yeah, I don't think so. And that's exactly what he did. He looked very good. So even you don't know. And that's not to say he's going to be a stake horse now. He's going to be a killer. Way beyond what I thought he was going to do the other day. And I can tell you, again, you never know till they get behind the gate, and it appears even as a sophomore. That was an impressive mile. Now, I'm not driving. I was down to drive him, but as I told Jason, for me to convince James to go over, it's going to be last minute. But if he does come over, I can't be driving Wednesday night. We'll go do something, go out to dinner, watch the horses race. I think Luke is going to drive Stonebridge Acadie, and Chris Limes, who qualified the horse, is going to drive Columbus. So I can't wait to see them race. Coupe de Ville qualifying on Thursday. They said she trained great again. This filly, no hobbles on this year, and she looks very, very good. Mo Power Baby, I trained by herself in 2-3 last half in 59. She was exceptionally good. So I can't wait to go with her also. This is why I'm so excited. This is an exciting time of year. We have 20 sophomores that have come back as good or better than I wanted them to, and I can't wait to see them start to get going. More than you know, good mile the other day, not really. The front end's not really. I got caught on the front end with him. I was going to let that thing go, and it tried to do a belly flop when it was clearing over to the lead, and I ended up on the front, and not the place he should have been. I suspect he would have got a better trip last night from Dougie, and he'll race next Saturday, obviously, so we'll have to train him up. And Warwick Yuri, ton of question marks, but good question marks with this guy. After his training mile 3 weeks ago, he schooled him in 2-2 on Friday. He'll go back with another schooler in probably 2 minutes on Friday. No, there won't be any Friday, so it'll likely be Saturday or Monday of this weekend, and then we'll get to qualifying him. He looks very, very, very good. So a lot of exciting things taking place right now at the stable, whether we're talking about the aged horses, some of the horses coming back, like Sintra. Atlas Hanover is going to be back in another week, back in the burn going. Patrick the Piranha getting close to the races. Kings County almost done impregnating mares, and he's going to be back ready soon enough. So a lot of exciting things going on with the stable. The 20 sophomores, all the babies we talked about, everything is starting to look good. And I'm super optimistic because it's a beautiful sunny day here in Ontario. So I hope it's a sunny day wherever you are. I hope you had a great weekend. I know the Saturday cancellations kind of threw a little water on the campfire for all of us this weekend, but lots more going on. Good luck to the Per Lucky group tonight and the Cash Deals group tonight. I hope they both win. So with that, that's your opening. I will talk to you all very soon and quite a few times throughout the week, but for now I will let you go to enjoy your week. Take care.